Good morning, folks. It is the last day here in Utah, and as you might have noticed from the photos in the intro, I am in another very rocky, canyonous area. This is the southern, less visited part of Canyonlands National Park, known as the Needles District, for all of the rocky spires that form the lower canyons coming off of the mountain down south. Don't have a lot of time here, but I'm going to try and visit this part, the more commonly visited northern section and arches, before cruising up the Colorado River to hopefully find some stuff this evening, so we'll see how it goes today. Though in some ways certainly very similar to other places that we saw in the last video, such as Bryce Canyon National Park or the Natural Bridges Monument, this area of Utah still has its own unique flavor due to the different layer of rock sandstone that the canyons are carved out of. The area just has a different texture, more craggy layers and sharp edges. Here's a little interesting species that I feel like I need to talk about a little bit. This is ephedra, or Mormon tea, and they're actually producing their version of little cones right now. These are extremely ancient plants, more like gymnosperms than they are flowering plants. No leaves, just photosynthetic stems. And as their common name suggests, people would often make a supposedly medicinal tea out of them. Like all parks, if you have the time, you should certainly try and visit even just this one section of this park for at least a couple of days. There's just not enough time to see everything out there, especially since some of the best hiking trails, like the ones that lead out actually to the Colorado River edges, are several miles in length, and there's just no way to do that in the hour or so that I had to visit there. Those over there, if you can look through the cloud and no-see-ums, are why this park was called the Needles section. It's down here, the rock formation coming off of the high mountains was cracked in multiple places, and then between each of those cracks it eroded away, leaving a whole bunch of spires. We also have incredible buttes and bluffs out here. And even further in the distance, you get a view of 12,000 foot mountains. Those are just inside Utah here, but there's been a couple places already on my drive I've been able to look at the high peaks in Colorado again. So the south edge of Canyonlands is basically wrapped around by the northeast corner of Bears Ears National Monument. And in here, we have this massive flat space of stone where the original inhabitants of this region carved hundreds upon hundreds of petroglyphs into the rock. And a few idiots have tried to add some stuff way up there above them in some cases. thinking it would be funny. And at least most of the petroglyphs have been left untouched. Thousands of years of history are here. Right in front of some gloriously blooming yuccas, too.
Not all the petroglyphs are on the rock either, and unfortunately the ones that aren't are quite at risk. I found several that were damaged, but down a short trail I also found this face in one of the rocks. Nearby were some beautiful penstemon blooming and the first reptile that I actually got film of for the day.
And in here we got the local whiptail species foraging. And now hiding.
As was the standard for the past several days in Utah, driving anywhere around here is pretty. Amazing rock formations everywhere you look. From here I headed northward, heading towards the more heavily visited part of Canyonlands, this region that overlooks the confluence of the two great rivers in Utah, the Green and Colorado rivers.
So we've just driven another hour and a half north to the northern part of the park. Currently standing on a gigantic circular ring of rocks known as the Upheaval Dome. I see out here why it's called that. Started to form in the base, but it's not wet enough for them to run all year round. The Green River's out there somewhere. Now they're 3,500 feet below us. So we're standing 6,000 feet up. You can see down there within the second valley, Green River flowing at around 3,900 feet elevation. Millions of years of carving. Sculpted out by water and by wind. Or the energy to hike down there, because that's where you'd find rat snakes, possibly king snakes. I really cannot believe that the cow kings don't make it up here when they do make it up way within the Glen Canyon area on the other side, along the Fremont River area. I'm sure they can be found down there too.
And true to the standards of the Colorado River, basically anywhere you were at along it. The Green River Canyon was nice, but it was nothing compared to these sculptures that were seen within the Colorado Valley, heading down towards the confluence.
So compared to the Green River overlook, I'd say the view out across where the Colorado is a whole lot more impressive. It's so deep down there you can't actually even see it. The confluence, about 14 miles south that way. Beyond that butte that we can't actually get to without backcountry hiking or driving. There's a road down there you can take. It's 100 miles long and four-wheel drive only. Incredible landscape though. And we're just entering the last park of the trip, and that is Arches. Before actually really going up, I had to stop, take a look at kind of what I have been driving through. This is referred to as the Moab Fault. $6 million years ago, probably one of the biggest earthquakes this place has ever seen happened and resulted in that shooting upward while the exact same structures fell on this side several thousand feet below it. It's part of what the canyon lands are formed out of.
And while the canyon lands are a couple of different layers of sandstone, as you head out of them and head further north into Arches, you enter a completely different set of geologic strata, which creates a completely different structure to the environment again. Much smoother and more windswept sandstone.
Just off the highway here we have the Court of Towers, region where there may have been several arches before, or new ones may form. And in fact, if you look very close, right in there, there's a new arch developing. This particular area is surrounded by these huge monuments. Sir, are you aware that the cars will run you over? You don't care, do you? Alright. There's quite a view. So there's no way I've got the energy right now to try and take the trail out to it, but this is part of the viewpoint for Delicate Arch, one of the most iconic structures in this park. You can see all the people who did take the time up there though. So here's one of the first arches that I've actually deigned to come out to. The trail's relatively short. This is the Skyline Arch, which apparently within the past 100 years was witnessed to double in size as a big chunk of the rock fell out from within it. So it's even bigger now than it was when the park was formed. And we're walking through this lovely chaparral sagebrush habitat here. There are a few junipers, a couple scattered pinyon pines. This is definitely the kind of area I'd expect to see whip snakes, gopher snakes, rattlers. Of course, they won't be out right now too much. I mean, the whip snakes would be because it's 85 degrees out, but it's even hotter down in Moab though. Oh, and there's a little lizard. Little side blotch. He's cute. It's not much, but we got a young little sagebrush lizard here. Beautiful pattern, honestly. Little reverse chevrons. Just a little bit of blue on the belly, so this might be a young male. Anyway, let him run right back where he was. Zoom. Now we are here at the Devil's Garden. Similar to the Fiery Furnace, another section that looks kind of like this. Deeper in the park. It's almost like a miniaturized version of what happened in Zion Canyon. Except this was done by fracturing rather than a single erosion from a river. But it makes some similar views. Actually, it looks kind of like the Call of Canyons. We're gonna go a little ways into it. a little bit of fun walking right through here. Definitely has Kolob Canyon vibes, other than it's about 25 degrees hotter and not quite as tall. There's no water running through here. And a lot more people, of course. Here's a nice view. For just a brief moment, there's not too many people around me either, so I can enjoy it in a slightly quieter ambiance. That's cool. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that that is Tunnel Arch. And it's pretty obvious why I couldn't see it from the other side, even though it's right there, because it carves up facing the sky on the other side. It's quite a beautiful little spot, though. Gotta pop in for a second and say, figured out what this place actually really reminds me of. It is a ginormous version of Garden of the Gods back home. We have very, very similar formations, and it might be from similar processes. But of course, Garden of the Gods is a few hundred acres, I think. Not several 100,000. And here we are. That pine tree arch. Got a beautiful view straight out of it, actually. Right here it is. Standing right within the arch. And the view that you get out from it. Pine Tree Arch. And underneath this fallen pine root, we've got some serious rodent trails. You can see the evidence of the feeding over there. There is this little pit. Right in the base is the butt of an ant, clutched in the jaws of an antlion that is enjoying his meal down there. And I guess he's done with it. Or no, that's not an ant, it's a little beetle. That's why he doesn't like it anymore. Alright, running really low on time, but I had to come take one last walk out here. There's some cool formations out here. Double Arch is what I'm going to see. It's a relatively flat, short walk. And there we go, from right below it. You hear the ravens and the crows echoing around. Double Arch. So there's the skylight and the double arches. And then out the big main arch. You ain't bad either.
And with one last view out across the entrance, my visit to Arches National Park was over. Unfortunately, that evening, there would be no animals found whatsoever going up the Colorado River Canyon, all the way back into Grand Junction, all the way up into Rifle, even. So next morning, I decided I had to stop nearby, look around, see if I could find anything at all before heading home.
We got a heron hunting along the water. Alright, well, after last night turned out completely crappy, I had to come back, And in the last town that I'm staying in, I'm near Rifle here. I had to look around for stuff. There is almost no record of anything in and around the Rifle area here, actually. But we've got, I missed another one that was literally right over here, so there might be, I think this might be the female, and the other one might have been a courting male. Trying to find her. But Colorado, western yellow-bellied racer. Nowhere near as pretty as the ones we were seeing in Utah, but nice snake nonetheless. So we'll get a couple of photos and let him on his way. Alright, dude. Here you go. Ready? Zoom! Off he goes.
I stopped at one last short little hike after that, hoping to find a midget-faded rattlesnake somewhere since they have been recorded that far up. It's the only rattlesnake in Colorado I have not yet seen, but all I found were some pretty wildflowers. So headed home, made a stop at the local wildlife preserve nearby to see if I could pull off one more thing maybe.
So I've decided, now that I'm back home, I wasn't quite ready to be done with the trips. I've come out to the little nature reserve that I've got access to. And the last thing that I saw up in the mountains, the first thing I see out here, an osprey. Beautiful.
Unfortunately, even the preserve wouldn't quite work with me, because other than this guy, a couple of really pretty wildflowers on the local Echinocereus cacti, and a cormorant out in the lake, there wasn't a whole lot going on. However, Utah over, I can't say it was a bad trip. Beautiful landscapes, some really cool animals that were found, certainly, and just more reason to go back to look for the things that I did miss. But until then, there's been a lot of other adventures that have been up recently. Just after this, stay tuned. Colorado seems to be bent on making up for the Utah trip, as it were. So watch for the next video. There's some really cool stuff that I found in that one. And if you enjoy seeing educational, wandering around trip videos like this, if you enjoy seeing reptiles, birds, flowers, other wildlife, learning about them, do consider helping support the channel. You can do that monetarily if you join at Patreon. The link will be in the description below, along with all the other links. Members there get early access to the videos, access to the monthly seed contests I do, discounts on a few things, and more. There's also, you can donate at coffee or buy stuff at the website, carltoncarnivores.com. Usually I have plants. There's baby snakes up there right now, resin gem jewelry from the snake skins. And even if you can't do monetarily, simply liking the video, subscribing, sharing it, leaving comments, that helps as well. And if you'd like to see more from me, other little tidbits, short video clips, and so on from this trip and other side things that I do, find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, all at Carlton Carnivores. But until next time, I'm Hawken Carlton, and this is Carlton Carnivores.
This bush right here is where the other snake that we'll look at just a second here was at. Yep, he's in there. Okay, now, would you look at this stunner?